Good morning, good afternoon, and good night, and welcome to the Amateur Otaku Podcast. How's everybody doing out there? I am Brandon Alvarado, the Scarlet Fan here, and I'm excited to be back here tonight in a new year with a brand new Denji and crew, and with the same crew, the Amateur Otaku. We're going old school. I am here with the great, the only, the mad Isaac Wolf. What is up, man?
Well, I'm here talking Chainsaw Man, so that's something.
Yes, yes. We figured after being off during Christmas, and then of course with the New Year's and everybody spent great, hopefully had a great time with their families. I know I definitely did. We figured we'd return and pick up where we left off with Chainsaw, but we want to make sure that we give these two last big shows of the fall season, which were Chainsaw Man and Bleach, which we're covering together every other Sunday, we figured that it was best if we did a solo episode this Sunday for Chainsaw Man to just talk about the show, to do a full recap of the season, break down episodes 10, 11, and 12, and bring a close to our coverage of the current season of Chainsaw Man. It ended, I believe it was 2 weeks ago, Isaac? Something like that?
Are you talking Chainsaw Man?
Yes.
Yeah, I believe so too. Yes.
So we are taking tonight.
And yes, Mike, it's one at least. I can at least agree it is one of the best of the decade.
Yeah, it's a great show. For those that read the manga, like me and Isaac, it's one of the best books going on right now. Period. So, I mean, if
You
you're not
talked
reading,
about the opening.
talk about the opening.
Yeah.
Yes, it's one of the best openings. I would say for all time. I wouldn't say just a decade. I think the way it blew up, especially for being a highly expected show. Like a lot of people were looking forward to the show, being a critically acclaimed manga, because this is one of those shows that before it came out, everybody had crazy expectations of what the show was going to be, and whether or not they were going to get it right, and whether or not they were going to hit it across the park. You know what I mean? They wanted this to be a home run. All the fans wanted that. And I think it's safe to say that MAPPA outdid themselves with everything they put onto these 12 episode season. And definitely, I think this is one of the best openings ever, not just a decade. That's just me. Now, a little housekeeping before we jump into the main thing for today. If you guys love what we do here at the Amateur Otaku Podcast, make sure to click on that like button, click on that bell for notifications, subscribe to our YouTube channel so you do not miss any coverage on any of the animes that we're covering in the season. This particular fall season, we covered My Hero, we covered Spy Family, we covered Chainsaw Man, we also covered Bleach, the Thousand Year Blood War. If you don't want to miss any of that coverage or want to go back and hear our thoughts on those couple of episodes, which we did mostly 2 episodes at a time, make sure you click on the bell icon, make sure you subscribe and like the video and share with your friends so people that love anime as much as all of us can come back to the show and listen to us, and this community can keep growing, and we keep talking about the shows that we love. We also have a great library archive of plenty of different shows that we've covered in the last 4 years of the Otaku and the last 2 years that we've been on YouTube. So there's plenty of stuff for all tastes, all desires, and all needs in anime. Also, if you want to listen to us on the go, we're available on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, wherever podcasts are found, except Podbean for some reason. But you can, if you want to listen to us on the go, whenever we do a live stream, that becomes a full episode and it goes into our podcast feed the next day for you guys to enjoy and listen on the go. Now, we wanted to say and start before we jump into the episodes because there's a lot to talk about Chainsaw Man. We want to say thank you because you guys have been super supportive and super awesome in the live streams. We've been seeing the views come in every single week throughout us trying something new. And we just want to let you know that we really appreciate you guys following us through the entirety of the fall season as we cover those episodes every week, every Sunday on the live streams. But what we're going to do moving forward is we're not going to stop doing the live streams. So don't worry. We're still going to do live streams every week. We're just going to move the days because it works better for the schedule. And what we care about the most is making sure you guys get the best content and the best of us in the content that we provide you. So what we're going to do is this is going to be our last Sunday live stream. And tonight we're going to be talking Chainsaw Man episodes 10, 11, and 12. And then the live stream moves to Thursday nights. We're going to be doing live streams every Thursday night at between 7 and 7:30 EST. And this Thursday is we're going to do our season recap of Bleach, the 1,000-Year Blood War. We're going to cover the last 4 episodes of Bleach, the 1,000-Year Blood War. I think it's last 3 or 4. And we're going to give a nice, good closure to the best comeback of the decade. Or is it more or is it the decade, Isaac? Because the comeback of Bleach is legendary status.
It's about a decade, so yes.
But it's definitely in legendary status. I think we all knew it was going to be big, but I think it blew up even bigger. Am I wrong?
No. I mean, it just proves that Bleach is still big.
Hey, big 3 status all the way.
I mean, it has that for a good reason.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. So, guys, hopefully you'll keep joining us on the live streams every Thursday moving forward. We start with this next Thursday as we do our close of Bleach, the 1,000-Year Blood War, Core 1, which is titled, I forgot the name of it, but I know they gave it a title. But I know Core 2, which is already announced, is called The Separation. I don't know what the first one is officially called. But we're going to be closing Bleach Part 1, Bleach 1,000-Year World in Part 1. Also, our good friend Mike, he's not in the episode with us tonight, but he's working on a Core 1 close for My Hero Academia and a Core 2 close, Season 1, of Spy Family. So don't worry. The shows that you love, we will be finishing them out with a nice, neat little bow. And we will give you those chapters and those episodes that you guys want us to talk about. Now, we're going to go into the topic of the day. This episode is 100% all about Chainsaw Man, the last 3 episodes. And then we'll give you a little bit of a sneak peek on what we're going to be covering in the future because we're very excited of the shows that will be starting soon, this very month. Damn it. So we have a lot of stuff planned so we can give you great content. So, Isaac, are you ready to talk Chainsaw?
Yes, I'm truly... okay, I can't do any puns right now.
Okay,
anyway.
let's just say that you're revved up.
Yeah, I'm
okay.
I'm ashamed. No. Let's get on with it.
So let's jump into the Chainsaw anime finale. So the last time I had the privilege of having our good friend of the show, Ark Winder, talking Chainsaw Man with us, and we covered the episodes 8 and 9, which was where we picked up when Himeno and Denji were at Himeno's apartment, and of course the assault on Special Division 4, and episode 10, which is titled Bruised and Battered, which is, it is super obvious what this particular title is pointing to. Literally picks up in the aftermath of the devastating attack on Special Division 4 from Sawatari, Katana Man, and the other Yakuza. Which apparently were able to acquire weapons thanks to the Gun Devil. If you remember, Denji was almost 100% captured and destroyed, and he was cut in half, mind you. Until Kameni got super nuts and started cutting people, and Makima was using her weirdish devil powers to destroy and to literally turn into paste people in the distance. Which, if anybody's asking us to explain Makima's powers, we have no idea what happens. We just know that it's a spiritual way of dominatrix on people. I would say,
Yeah.
Isaac, I'm going to ask you a question. The way she squished all those men, is that how you see her squishing you?
No. No.
Okay. Okay. I mean, you always talk about Makima and dominatrix, and I'm not sure.
I mean, no. I mean, redhead. All the redheads I've known has been dominatrix. So
So let's talk about this first episode, episode 10. So we know that Denji is put back together. We find Denji and Power just hanging out while Aki is resting because Aki got hurt a lot. We never got a chance to talk about the attack because I know you weren't able to join us. Because I know you and I read the book.
no.
So this is the first time that we've actually seen it animated. What were your thoughts on that assault? And then, of course, the aftermath that this particular episode starts to capture.
I just feel that they handle it really well, and to the extent that it was on. I know that this is rather, what's the word, heresy to say to many people, but I dare even argue that to some extent it was even better.
Then the book?
Yeah.
I don't think that's heresy. I mean, at the end of the day, whoever says when we're talking about anime and manga, in my opinion, right? When anybody talks about anime and manga, and you say that the anime is better, I kind of feel that's the point. You want the anime to be better. You want it to be a you want the anime to be an elevation, an evolution of what the book was. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So if anybody, when people start complaining, oh, the book was better, I don't think that applies to anime and manga. I think that's, now that I think about it, I think that's the only genre of the only medium that it really doesn't apply to. Like, you actually want the anime to be better because the best anime adaptations are translations of the book as opposed to just trying to be creatively free, like Promised Neverland season 2.
Fuck that season.
Which, and if anybody's gonna start screaming, oh, but there's other shows like Full Metal Alchemist. The first season wasn't. Guys, the reason they did an original story is because the mangaka could not write the books in time. So, two different scenarios, two different situations, and in that case, the original story they came up with was amazing. So, doesn't count. But I agree. I think it actually evolves it a lot. I love the action. I love the intention. There's something about the motion capture animation work that they do in MAPPA that with every episode that I see, it just gets better, better, and better. Like,
Yeah.
there's a flow. There's a flow of movement. And yes, you can say that sometimes it feels like very dramatic. Like, you can definitely notice whenever there is motion capture involved. You know what I mean? Like, because the type, the way the animation sits on top of the model, it's more obvious, but also the textures of it still feel fresh and you enjoy them.
Yeah,
And
I
it's
mean,
not.
there is more and more motion captures for anime. I mean, And there is some specific word for that for in animation, though I can't recall what it is.
Yeah. I think
But
motion capture is just the most the easiest way to kind of explain it, right? Even if
Yeah.
it's not necessarily the same thing. But now that since we're talking about animation, I recently and yes, I never finished it because I had issues with it, but I was able to get over my issues. I finally finished season 1 of Jujutsu Kaisen, and now having watched Attack on Titan final season part 1 and 2, haven't seen the first season of Jujutsu Kaisen, and haven't seen Chainsaw Man season 1, I've really, my respect for Mappa continues to grow because all of the mangakas that are related to all those 3 works are very peculiar in their drawing style. And Mappa is able to capture them all. Like, none of these shows look the same. The only thing that's similar is the level of quality, but the animation styles are all drastically different.
Yeah.
And so that's the kind of thing that I go like kudos to Mappa, because even though it definitely appears that all those animators are severely overworked, but
yeah, I mean, weren't there video moving over that you can see one of the lead staff animator had extremely big bags around his eyes when they talked about something.
I never seen such thing. I'm not surprised that could definitely be a thing. But I definitely do want to say this. I can see the hard work these guys are doing, and I think and they're definitely pushing the boundaries of what anime can be, and that's what I actually like it, because they're not picking a specific they don't pick a specific type of animation and do everything that way. Like, for example, and again, I've never said that this is a problem, but it's just a proof of concept. Tron Stampede, they made the choice to prioritize CGI animation, right? They made that a point. That was a decision. It was a creative decision.
What movie?
No, Trigun Stampede, like that show.
Yeah.
Like, they
Yeah.
made that decision. That's a decision. Mappa has made the decision to create a hybrid that for whatever show they're doing that fits the mangaka's vision. And one of the best things that I love about Chainsaw Man specifically, in the quiet moments, like the moments that are quiet, especially the action moments that are here and that were before in episode 9, I like how visceral, how realistic, how gory, but also how grounded everything feels in Chainsaw Man. Which, for example, you don't feel that in Jujutsu Kaisen. Whenever you see Jujutsu Kaisen, it feels like a fantasy show. You see what I'm saying? It doesn't feel like it's grounded, that it's meant to feel dreadful and gory and vicious. Does that make sense? Even though you're handling similar things like demons and stuff like that. It's just the tones are different and the animation fit the tones. Especially in quiet moments like this moment in the hospital where they're all just sitting there and Power and Denji are being... By the way, they're just being Power and Denji. They're stealing the bag of apples that was a gift to Aki.
Yeah. Poor Aki.
Yeah. And
you
Aki
would,
just wakes up. Yeah, it's crazy.
And you wonder if he was he wanted to go to the second base also, with how he reacted.
You mean with Himeno?
Well, yeah. Who
Well,
knows?
I don't see that. I don't see that. I think
I'm just messing around, buddy.
no. I know. But then again, it's a valid point. Because I think the powerful emotional punch with Aki and Himeno is that Aki never guessed that Himeno was in love with him, or at least care with him in a way that could be deduced to be like that. Does that make sense? Like he never paid attention to her that way. And it's one of those things like what the one thing, and that's kind of like the whole premise and the whole thing that they've been teasing up from the beginning with Aki in particular, is his main goal, which is to kill the gun devil, which you can say that his desire for Makima might have some influence on that, but based on his backstory, it really has almost 100% to do about his family, right? But his desire to get revenge for his family from the gun devil has blinded him from everything else in life that could allow him to have some type of normalcy, right? And because he's so hyper focused, he can't see what's going on around him. But he does appreciate the people that are around him as long as they share a common goal, which is why he's grown to appreciate what we have, because the fact that he lost Himeno, but now he's also appreciating the fact that Denji and Power are there. But yeah, that's very heartbreaking. You know what I mean? Like, and what a way to find out that someone cared about you through a letter right after she died. That's like the worst. Talk about being traumatized. I mean, further, because all the characters in this show are traumatized one way or another.
Yeah, that's for certain. And it was it was a gut punch to read it in the manga, but here I actually have to say that they did a fine job.
Yeah.
Because as my mother usually say, if you want to just go to the character and just give him or her a hug, just to comfort them, then you know they have done something.
Yeah. It's one of those things that just breaks you, right? And also, I always find it interesting when shows make this decision. And in this particular episode, it stood out a lot more because a lot more anime are doing it this way. But you know how in the past, whenever there was text on the screen, right? A lot of times you would get the translation of the text in the subtitles. Like you wouldn't have it in the screen. Mappa puts it in the screen because you could see the translation as part of the letter. I like that artistic choice. I know it's not a big deal, but does it make sense? I like that choice of, because it kind of, is it just me or is it a lot more immersive? Like you're reading the letter with Aki as opposed to reading some text underneath. Did you ever think about that? Because I
No.
like that. I like
But
that.
now that you think about it, now that you mention it, yeah.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Now, in this episode in particular was gut punch after gut punch after gut punch. With story-wise, I actually like the fact that happened because if you think about it, in the last 9 episodes, or actually the last 8 episodes, more or less, this Special Division 4 had never suffered defeat. Everything they faced, they beat. You understand what I'm saying? Like none of the first encounter Denji had with the zombie devil, Denji won. And then you have the one devil that he kills to get the porn. He won. The devil that they find when him and Power go on a on on the first mission together. They beat the Bat Devil. They beat the Leech Devil. Denji almost dies or whatever, but Special Division 4 beats the Leech Devil. When they are in the hotel, they kill the Eternity Devil. Like they're on a winning streak. So I think it does have it makes a lot of sense to create tension to deliver this kind of blow, because not only does it remind you how harsh the world of Chainsaw Man is, but what a great way of doing it to then prepare us for the big finale, which was the last 3 episodes. Because one of the things that I really enjoyed about this last collection of episodes, and having watched them together, is that we all know there's more Chainsaw Man. You and I both know that there's a lot more Chainsaw Man coming, right? But
I mean, they haven't officially announced it, but I would say that they have unofficially announced it. More on that later.
right. They definitely, we know there's more because this is a critically acclaimed worldwide anime. Like everybody loved it, more or less. You know what I mean? So it is something that was highly loved and respected, and it's doing great. And it's doing great in the dubs too. So it's not just.
I mean, there are some critically acclaimed shows that doesn't give a second season, but I get what you.
Right. Well, Mappa, you know me. When you know how you told us, like when the fact that the Mappa, one of the main people at Mappa bought everything already, they're going to do it. So
It was the CEO that bought the license to everything the mangaka have done. So
yeah. So the way the season ends, it has a nice degree of, it feels like an ending.
yeah.
There's a little bit of a cliffhanger, but it feels like an ending, and it wraps up the story very nicely. So I like the fact that they chose the chapters that they chose. I loved how they ended everything. I mean, it was very, very, very satisfying. Now, in regards to Denji's reaction and conversation in the hospital, because you know that after he leaves the hospital room, right? He starts wondering about his heart, and he starts wondering about whether or not he may have lost more than his heart, which I find that to be a very interesting piece of conversation.
I mean, it makes sense, all things considered. I mean, you. I mean, wouldn't you question if you're become more human than monster now that you can summon chainsaw from your head, arms and become a head with your chainsaw and all that jazz?
I mean, yes, I personally would be like, oh my god, I'm a monster. Like, yes, I would think that way, but to me, the reason he's saying it is a little different. The reason he's saying it is because when he hears Aki crying, he recognizes that he doesn't have sadness. He just lost the first woman that he could consider a friend for the longest time, and he doesn't feel sadness. He doesn't feel emotion. He doesn't feel loss. And then he thinks about, what if I lost Makima? Will I feel loss? Will I feel sad? And he says that he doesn't, or that he wouldn't. That he'll feel sad for 1 or 2 days, and then he'll just go back to enjoying life. Like having a demon for a heart, or a devil for a heart, when in this case is Pochita, he no longer feels those pieces of human emotion. And to me, that's very interesting to Denji's character, because he is human, in the sense that he looks like a human, but even in his sense, he's emotional center. It's more devil than anything because he has a devil for a heart. And I
Yeah.
think that's a very interesting topic because it makes you think: does he save people? Does he save people because he wants to save people, or he's just doing it because he's being selfish all the time?
You mean? I mean, at first it could just be because he is selfish, and then you can a character can grow to want to help people because, well, want to help people. If you catch my drift.
Yeah. No, definitely. I mean, it's very possible that that's the case, but that's one of the that's like the most interesting thought, the most interesting thing that I can think of, because to me that was a very interesting episode, and what they capture when they capture it that way, you know, I found it very interesting because it talks to you about the changes that Denji's undergoing, and coming back to life. Did he really come back to life, or and other things probably stayed dead, you know?
Yeah.
But then again, he never knew kindness, so maybe he's just underdeveloped on those areas as well. But
I mean, who would blame him if he didn't have kindness, so to speak, or whatever? I would say he had somewhat of a kindness, considering he could connect with poachers the way he did.
right. Well, remember, he had kindness towards others. I was more referring to kindness towards him. Like he never knew
Oh,
kindness.
you mean like that? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, he never knew that. So that could explain the detachment, maybe, right? Um, Now, how horrible is it that after we're still in the beginning? I know there's a lot more that happens in the episode, but after all that happened, and we finally figure out Aki's sword, that's called that comes from the cursed devil. Apparently, every time he uses it, it affects his lifespan. And then when he asks the sword how much time he has left, he says 2 years. That's just like, if this episode cannot get any more crazy.
I mean, you can understand now why he don't care if he get cancer by
Yep.
by the
Yep.
smokes. I mean,
Yep.
he's
Yep.
going to die young anyway, so
Exactly. It's like he's literally going, fuck
he's
it.
going Constantine.
Yes. Pretty much. Pretty much. So you got the two people. So so now not only are they bruised and battered, but now they have to work on getting stronger because yes. So I love how in the case of Denji and Power, that means training, but in the sense of Aki, because I think it's safe to assume that Aki is probably as strong as a human's gonna be, right?
Yeah.
Which is why that the only way he can get stronger is by making contracts with other devils. But then again, how
Unless you're
crazy?
unless you're a certain someone that we're going to talk about later. But go on, yeah.
Yes, but making contracts with devils, you got to sacrifice stuff for that. And it's like you got these two guys being advisors, which I really don't want to talk to them. They're like just, I don't think they mean anything. They're just a means to an end for Aki's storyline, really.
Yeah, they are
Because
essentially just what's called plot devices, literally.
right, so they're literally guiding, as they're guiding Aki to meet the new devil that he's going to make a contract with, which we'll get to him in a minute. Denji and Power meet Bakuma in the graveyard. And they meet this guy. Now, this guy is a very particular person. We know he's human. Of course, we don't know what devils he has contracts with. But what we do know is that ever since he was small, he was always super strong. And every time he would, and every time that he would play with his toys,
They broke.
they broke. Now, interestingly enough, he's also considered one, if not the number one devil hunter, or at least he's part of Devil Hunter Squad number one, I think is what he said, right?
Yeah.
He's
He
part of
pretty
Devil
much-
Hunter
He called himself the strongest.
Right. And apparently Makima wants him to train Power and Denji. And the first thing he does, what does he do, Isaac?
Breaking their necks.
He literally kills them.
And, just a fun tidbit. Do you remember the character Kento Nanami from Jujutsu Kaisen, going back to that?
Nanami, that's the stockbroker.
Stockbroker that
Yeah,
that sounds like I'm so tired. Blah, blah.
yeah.
He and Kishibe shares the same voice actor.
And that sounds perfect. Sounds about right too. That
Yeah.
sounds about right. Yeah, that sounds.
I mean,
about right.
and when I heard that, I'm just yeah,
Of course, of course,
of course.
of course, of course. But yeah, I find it so hilarious that this guy is just stupid strong, and that's just who he is. He's just
That's an understatement.
yeah.
I
The
mean,
first,
he-
he hugs them like we're thinking that he's just being nice and hugging them. No, he just breaks their necks. I'm
They
like-
can't do a thing about it.
Yeah, it's hilarious. It's hilarious.
I mean, and when they think that they can just attack him just up front like that, what does he do? Stabs Denji 3 times in the shoulder, and then just one through the head via the jaw, and I'm just ooh. And so you see me just. Is he truly human or not?
I don't know. I don't know. All I know is that he knows exactly who he's dealing with. And the first thing that he does, he literally just cracks their necks and then he pulls out a bottle of blood, a bag of blood. Now, I find it interesting that I love how in little moments like this, the show, what it's doing is constantly explaining to us how it works, how everything works, right? It explained to us how these characters works, how the world works, how the devils work, how they have powers and all that stuff, and the way training works for them because they're so strong, and because they're devils, he'll just keep killing them. He'll just keep killing them, and that's how he teaches them. It's kind of like the whole Super Saiyan thing. You know how Saiyans get stronger with every battle they do?
Yeah.
So this is kind of the same. He's just literally killing them over and over and over again. But I think it's still pretty brilliant. It's pretty brilliant. It's pretty funny. And he's just scary. Like look at these eyes. Look at these eyes. Look at like he hugs them. And look how this looks. I have to show it because it's just crazy. It's just crazy. Look at those eyes. Look. And the funny thing is,
that's the eyes of an emotional dead man. If you catch my drift.
no, he literally says it when he's talking to Makima. Which, by the way, he doesn't like Makima at all. Apparently. And that's very interesting because he is the first person that we meet that doesn't like Makima, which literally sets him apart, right? Because
Yeah.
almost every man that we've met likes Makima, but he literally calls Makima a liar to her face. So like he knows something or he suspects something, but I find it super interesting how that's a plot point.
And also,
And
if you
Makima kind of shuts up and doesn't say anything.
yeah, and she is pretty. If you really notice that, he's the only one that she doesn't have a what's it called or
Under his thumb, under her thumb.
under her thumb, yes, and sort of
Yep.
like she didn't have a should I clever comeback to that.
Right? Because he knows that he's right. He knows that she's being sneaky about things. Denji being one of them, right?
Yeah.
So so they're in the hyperbolic time chamber of death with this guy, but they are learning, they are getting better, and the guy's a dick because after he's been killing them over and over again, almost 20 times, according to Power's ability of counting, which is not much. He says, "We'll meet again tomorrow." He leaves, and they're stuck walking home from the graveyard.
I wonder how long that took.
It is so bad. It probably took a while, but I like the idea of them getting training. I mean, they've never been trained for anything, so I like how this is a new dynamic. Because it definitely plays into the final battle that we see later, right? Because we do see a lot of the things that he's learned, that Denji has learned with Teacher, which, by the way, we never find out his name. At least so far, we haven't found out his name.
But
So-
do you believe they say their name?
Huh?
When he introduced himself, I do believe he said that.
No. He literally talks about himself and says, "People call me Teacher." He never says his name,
Yeah.
and I think
And
that's on
also-
purpose. I think he did it on purpose too.
And also, can we also agree? And another reason why you can question if he is truly human, with how he is instantly dodge and Power's spear when it came through the door like that, and just an ambush, and just or
Yeah, he's just-
so.
Well, you got to keep in mind he's always drunk too. So that's that's another thing that I think we need to keep in mind. He's always
Which-
drunk as
Which
well.
makes his reflexes even more.
Yeah. 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 Yes.
But then again, Zenith's what is the orange hairy scream heads in Demon Slayer again?
The one you hate?
Yeah, isn't that Zenitsu?
Yeah, Zenitsu, yeah.
Zenitsu gets strong when he's asleep. He gets strong when he's drunk, which is, and in Teach case, it's constantly.
Yeah. He's just drunk all the time. Now, so we know that that they're training, right? They're getting better. They're getting ready for the final attack, or at least getting ready for the mission because they're told halfway through episode 11, which is mission start, they're told that they're gonna engage in an assault against Sawatari and Katana Man. So they're coming back to get what's theirs because they're not going to stay sitting. I mean, they need to capture these people that are going to try and capture Denji anyway because we need to find the Gun Devil. So it was a nice setup, a nice training arc, very short. I like the fact that the pacing of the season throughout was perfect, right? Like nothing was too long, nothing was too short. Everything was straight to the point, and you really enjoy the pacing throughout. I never had any issues with the pacing of the show. Did you have any issues?
I mean, as someone that knows that manga is rather fast paced, I didn't have it, but if you had someone that I can see how someone that is an anime only, if you go in blind and all that jazz, feel that it was rather fast paced. And yes, I can absolutely understand why, because it did feel faster in the anime than the manga, but I did at the same time I did expect it to be fast paced because that's how it is in the manga too.
Yeah. Fair.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. It makes some sense. Yeah. And if anybody was wondering, episode 10 takes place throughout chapter 29 and 30, and then episode 11 takes chapters 31 to 35 and a half, almost 4.5 chapters of the manga, and they do a lot here. So we know that Power and Denji are still trying to come up with all the shenanigans to beat Teacher and learn. They end up hitting him once, which is great. So we know they're getting better. So they're becoming better fighters. That's where in this episode is the moment that Isaac mentioned, where he finds when they throw the spear. That was pretty hilarious. Now, the big thing of this episode, apart from Makima shaking down Yakuza bosses, apart from that,
and he's threatening her like that, and just, have you known about the necessary evil? And she just sits there like it's nothing, and I'm just,
yep.
Then again, I can't blame her because she isn't exactly normal either.
Yep. And we don't know why she's weird. We don't. We do not. But we know she's not entirely normal. Now, the big thing of this episode is we find out who Aki makes a contract with. And
future rules.
It's a very interesting contract too, which, again, Aki cannot catch a freaking break, bro. Like, he cannot catch a break. But then again, at least we kind of know that he can't catch a break. But it creates so much tension, though. But if you guys remember, from the intro, at the end of the intro, we see someone dancing at the very end. And no, I am not talking about Denji and Power dancing towards the end where the ender is saying, hard work, future, a beautiful star. You see someone that we met in this episode. And that's the future devil. You see him in the intro just dancing, celebrating, because the future rules. The future rules. The future is awesome. And this is the devil that Aki has a new contract with. And the craziness about the contract is that, surprisingly enough, it doesn't cost Aki anything. He doesn't have to give up anything. And Isaac, why doesn't Aki have to give anything to the future devil? What does the future devil say?
He technically has to give him something, but he tells that I want to live in your eye. I can't recall if you say a specific eye, but
right, it's the right eye. Isn't it right eye?
Yeah. Right eye, because he has seen his death, and it's an amazing one, according to him.
No, he says that it's a horrifying, horrible death. And he just wants to see him die the horrible death. So in other words, Future here, not the rapper, Future here is giving Aki the ability to peek into the future through the right eye, unlimitedly, until he dies. Because he's going to find it entertaining to see him die. It's
Yeah.
like the worst thing you could hear, but at the same time, it's kind of Aki catching a break, but it's like the worst thing you can hear. Oh man, Aki can catch a break. And again, this devil looks like a freaking clown. I find it hilarious.
It looks like a fantasy clown in a sort of like that fits in a weird spin-off of The Witcher.
Yeah, like a fawn character. He kind of
Kind
has
of.
he kind of has a vibe like a fawn. Yeah, yeah, I can get that. I get that. Now, so do you want to talk about the shakeup that Makima does with the Yakuza? I
Well,
look and you kind of mentioned it. Like the coolest thing is the argument that she has about necessary evil, because it's interesting how most mobsters and stuff like that they consider themselves necessary evil because they can keep the other mafias from other countries out of Japan, which there's logic in that statement, right? But it's interesting how Makima, of course, aligning herself with the government and aligning herself with the state, says a real necessarily evil is one that is under control by those in power, which is like a very political stance, right?
yeah.
Which also brings another set of dimension to her character, because it's funny, we've seen Makima now for almost, I mean, she's there 75% of the episodes, right? And we still
And I
have
believe so, yes.
and we still have no idea who she is.
He should probably know more in season 2.
Yes, she's a master manipulator, that we know that, but we technically know nothing of Makima, which is like kind of nuts and kind of crazy.
I mean, we know that pretty much every man is crazy about her.
And we probably also know by this point that they are crazy for being crazy about her,
Yeah.
because it's not probably the best idea. Now, when you saw that bag full of eyes, what did you think?
Are you talking about in the manga, first time in the manga, or are you thinking
Well,
of
the manga is
anime?
really that matters. The manga is really what matters, because that was your first reaction, right?
Well, I'm just. Oh. 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 I did
No,
not see that coming.
it's like super scary because she goes, "Oh, these are your eyes of everyone's here. It's not. It's from a love member. It's from a father or a mother or a wife or a child. But don't worry, we have someone that can put the eyes back on." Like, that is scary. That is so bad.
And you just talked about it like it was nothing.
Yes. Yes. Like the sides, like the conversation, the fact that she came back to life in Kyoto, the way she just killed all those people from Kyoto, sacrificing others, the way teacher kind of calls her on her shit, and she stays with her mouth shut, and what she's doing here, like everything points that she's a horrible being. And I just can't wait to see how this continues to unravel, especially because we all know that that Denji is crazy about her. So that's just super crazy.
I mean, what was it? How old was he? He's a 16-year-old horn dog of a boy that has never met a beautiful woman. And say what you want about his personality, but she would, if she was in real life, she would probably be what you call a gorgeous craze head or whatever you want to.
That's fair. That is totally fair. Now, so let's recap. Aki has a New pact with the Future Devil. He has a new weapon. Denji and Power have gotten stronger and smarter in battle. They all get ready to attack the building where the Yakuza, Sawatari, the Snake Lady, and um, and Katana Man are there. So the episode ends as they're beginning the attack, and we see a bunch of familiar faces. And the reason I say familiar faces is because we've never seen them before, but they were all in the intro in one way, shape, or form. We see the Shark Devil for the first time. We see the Spider Fiend. We see the Shark Fiend. We see the Spider Fiend. We see the Violence Fiend. And we also see the Angel Fiend. Which, I don't know. It's super interesting how they bring him over to fight all these people. Um, Is it just me or wasn't it like mwah, chef's kiss that they tie up this arc by bringing the zombies back from the beginning?
Yeah, it's pretty fitting actually.
Yeah, yeah, it was great. Like I knew that he mentioned Katana Man mentions that the the old man from the first episode was his grandfather, and like all the zombies were like a gift from his grandfather. So I like how it ties up that story in a nice little bow. And it's funny because it wasn't a story that I was expecting to had needed an ending. You know what I mean? I didn't think it needed to have an ending, but I like how they tied it with a bow. So I like how they were doing all that. Um, we don't see much of them, but all the fiends look cool. Did you have a Do you have a fiend that you found the most interesting?
Yes, Shuckle 2. The Shark Fiend just makes me laugh, and the
Yeah,
Angel Fiend, I just don't really know where to put them, I suppose. They are very. How should I put it? The design is very adrenistic. It's not very. It's very. It can be either gender type of deal, if you catch my drift.
yeah. I find the violence fiend very interesting, and I kind of want to know more. Um, the main reason for the violence fiend is because I find it interesting how when they introduce him or they talk about him, teacher literally says, "So most fiends, most devils, when they become fiends, they become less strong, but the violence fiend is not the case. So we always require him to wear a poison mask all the time." And I always found that kind of hilarious.
Yeah, but
and
there
he
are some
looks and he
interesting.
looks and he looks cool too. So
That I do agree on.
yeah. So now, how the episode ends is what's most interesting, because yes, we see a lot of action with the with the zombies, introducing all the different fiends, but we see we see Sawatori face Aki, and what was a huge surprise for me, which again, freaking heartbreaking. The fact that she captured the Ghost Devil, which was the one that Himeno had a contract with. Did you expect that to happen? Because when I read that, I was very surprised.
I mean, to some extent, yes. To some extent, no. Because it begs the question. Are you talking about the Ghost Devil and all that? Yes.
Yeah, specifically the Ghost Devil. Yeah, the
Yeah.
one that Himeno had. Yeah.
In some aspect, yes. In some aspect, no. Because then it does question as to why. Yeah. How does this work? Considering when when how they did she absorb the contract? Did the Snake Devil absorb the contract?
Yeah, they never explained that. But it kind of looks
And
like she
but
captured him. It kind of looks like she captured the Ghost Devil like a Pokemon.
yeah, and but then we have the whole idea of uh, the whole thing of where the Ghost Devil ends up giving him that cigarette and allowing him to well
Which
decapitate
yeah, which takes us into episode 12. Keep going.
yeah, which begs the question is why did she attack him in the first place, I feel. So
Well,
that's but reason I wasn't at the same time surprised is it's a very common trope that if you do absorb something, that character gets their whole of said thing. If you get what I mean.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like it's like you get some type of power of the person. Like it's the Mega Man trope, right? You get something out of the one that you defeated.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah, I can see that.
So while I do question how the heck how that whole thing worked, I'm not that surprised either. If that makes any sense.
So what I found the most interesting about that whole scenario was that the first time it's attacking, think about this. He is surprised and flabbergasted that he's fighting against the Ghost Devil because as soon as he's fighting the Ghost Devil, all he's thinking about is Himeno.
Obviously,
So
for obvious reason.
but he's also thinking about death, and that causes fear. And so that leads to the reveal of what happened with Himeno. I got a feeling also that maybe part of Himeno's soul, because remember, the way Himeno died, Himeno gave everything that she is or everything that she has, her soul, so to speak. Himeno gave everything to the Ghost Devil as a tribute. So maybe there's I don't want to say a quirk, but maybe there's a thing that whenever the Ghost Devil absorbs part of you or whatever, it keeps part of your essence or part of your soul. Because that would make sense that there was that connection and the whole thing with the cigarette, right? Because that's literally like Himeno talking through the Ghost Devil. But I did find it super amazing and super interesting that that when the Ghost Devil grabs Aki. Oh, and by the way, it was super awesome where Aki is attacking and destroying all the arms, and you can see the 6 eyes of the future devil in Aki's red eye.
Yeah.
That's actually super badass. But when the Ghost Devil is grabbing Aki and choking him, he's afraid. Arkwinder, what's up, bro? What is up? And yes, Arkwinder, for those listening, Arkwinder says in the chat, just popping in briefly and say, Denji and Aki kicking Katana Man in the balls is a glorious sight. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. But at that moment, Aki's afraid of dying. But as soon as he remembers what Himeno taught him about the Ghost Devil, that because the Ghost Devil is blind, the Ghost Devil cannot see unless it senses fear. So as soon as Aki puts his fear aside, the Ghost Devil can see him. That's how he gets to kill him. So it's like very dramatic, very, I would say, operatic and emotional. But it's super interesting because it kind of like gives you the idea that every devil has like a system or a weakness or of something. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I did find it hilarious that again, out of nowhere, Kobeni shows up and is about to kill the motherfucker, and like Aki has to say, "No, don't kill him."
I mean, she she is she's if anyone she's an it's but can actually fight while she is awake.
Yeah.
And she's damn good at it when she really tries. We know
Yeah.
because when she saved Denji, for example, a couple of episodes back, she truly kicked ass.
Yeah. She was awesome. She was just epic and awesome. So I think it's time for the main course, right? Because the whole thing with Aki is amazing, a bunch of great scenes, but what we really care about is the big rematch, right? And the rematch of the century, of course, is Katana Man versus Chainsaw Man. Now, were you excited for this rematch as you were reading the book?
Yes.
Now, I don't like Katana Man. Now, be very specific. I found him boring as a character.
That I can agree on.
He's awesome as a monster for Denji to face, but he's boring as a character. I don't think not that I expected more, but I think I need to be honest with my feelings about it.
Honestly, the weakest part of this show slash manga has always been, with a certain exceptions, the villains. Honestly.
Well, and it's interesting because I wonder if part of that feel has to do with the fact that you kind of never know who's good and who's bad anyway. Arkwinder says in the chat, also Katana Man is basically a boss battle and does his job well. Agreed. 100% agreed. And it goes through that, right? Like I don't even know the guy's name. I know he's the grandson of whoever that Yakuza old man was. But all I care about was Katana Man and how he was a foil and a boss for Denji to beat, right? But also it also speaks to the fact that even though I didn't genuinely find him interesting as a character per se, I never felt that the show lacked an evil presence. Does that make sense? It didn't need a big bad because you never knew who was good or bad. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you never really know who's good and who's bad in the show. Like even now, we see how everybody sees Makima except Teacher, and like Teacher's the one person that sees Makima like we do. Like, okay, this lady's like doing a bunch of weird stuff. You know what I mean? And a bunch of horrible stuff. Like we're the only ones that are kind of noticing that she's doing all this weird stuff, and like he's the only one that's like paying attention to those things. So I just find that super, super interesting. So I don't know why. I just figured I needed to say that. But yeah, Katana Man 100% did his job. He was pretty much a great villain for Denji in terms of him fighting someone that was like him, which I think when you think about it, the first big villain has to be someone that is the closest to the main character in likeness, right?
And
Like-
Katana Man is perfect for that.
Yes. And of course, for those that have read the book, it's a great place to start, right? In terms of characters of that nature. But yes, I digress. But we get a great battle between them. I like the fact that the way everything was paced, we were able to wrap up everything with Aki at the beginning of the episode, and then the rest of the episode is just that nonstop fight between Katana Man and Denji. I like the fact, because correct me if I'm wrong, we see that fight from start to finish. We don't get any edits in the middle, right? And
I
if you
do
get,
believe so.
yeah, and I think that's super smart. That's one of the smartest moves that they made, because how many anime have we seen that don't make that decision, and then suddenly they cut right in the middle of the action, and isn't it like so depressing when it happens?
Yeah, it certainly is.
So I like that they made the decision to do the whole battle nonstop. I mean, it's almost 5 minutes of them going at it. And also, I love the fact that we see Denji grow as a fighter. And he gets up, he was able to get a power up because he was able to think beyond. And we see him do something that we've never seen him do before. And that's what gives him the upper hand. And what is that, Isaac? After Katana Man cuts both of his arms, what does Denji do?
Uses his legs.
Oh, I thought you were going to say he pulls a chainsaw out of his ass. But yes, do you imagine?
Mean, that too.
Could you imagine? I pulled the
Or if-
chainsaw out of my ass.
I was gonna say pull another chainsaw off his sleeves, but that wouldn't work since his arms are cut off.
Yeah, right. So, but yeah, now he has legs for chainsaws. He's able to do chainsaws from other parts of his body, which again, I love power ups that don't require 3 episodes to explain. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'm okay. Like back in the day, if it wasn't because Goku becoming Super Saiyan was so epic, I would say, buddy, it took us 20 episodes just to see you scream and go yellow. I think that's too much. I mean,
Yeah.
so I like the fact that we saw the fruits of the training and him thinking before doing, because he would just slash and not think about it, right? So the training more than anything helped him become strategic, helped him start to think before he acted so he can defeat his opponents. So I like that we see that in this fight. I like the fact that the stakes came back and they came up winning and swinging, and he beats Katana Man. Now, of course, the coolest thing wasn't just that he beat him. Arcwinder returns in the chat. He says, Denji, sometimes my genius, it's almost frightening. Yes. Agreed. I wonder where else does he have chainsaws. So, I like the way the show ends. I love the payback that they have against Katana Man, Aki, and Denji. And I think for some reason, even though it's stupid and hilarious what they do with Katana Man, which, like Arcwinder said earlier in the chat, Denji and Aki kicking Katana Man in the balls was a glorious sight. I think what better way to cement the fact that Aki and Denji are friends now.
And I think they needed that. Sort of like, I wouldn't say it's human revenge, but it's revenge nonetheless. Without
Right.
Without stopping them to get in jail, if you catch my drift.
Right. Because they know they're going to take him in jail or whatever. They're going to do whatever they can, and they're never going to see him again. But I do find it hilarious that these two characters, Aki and Denji, met for the first time, and they hated each other. And Denji said, okay, you're being a dick, so I'm going to leave you without balls. And now they come together as, let's work together. You take a ball, and I take a ball. and let's just kick these guys' balls. Like I like the partnership there, and I like the awkward humor behind that, because it literally kind of cements that relationship, right? And also the entire last 5 minutes of the 3 to 4 minutes of the episode, they're enjoying their time off. They're walking around, they're going grocery shopping, like they're going to the playground. Like the idea that this is a family unit now, and they're all like having the time of their lives. But of course, darkness is still around. We don't know what Makima's up to. We know that the Gun Devil can now be tracked because, according to Makima, they were able to collect more fragments of the Gun Devil. So now the Gun Devil, they can track it better. So next season, we're probably going to be tracking the Gun Devil a lot more seriously, or a lot more frequently, or a lot more directly. I do find interesting that the Snake Devil killed Sawatari. Apparently, they suspect that it might have to do with the deal of the Gun Devil that they had. So that was very interesting. But I just find it heartwarming that oh my god. Arcwinder says in the chat, Gun Devil should have used a VPN to hide himself better. And this episode is brought to you by NordVPN. No, it does. No, it's not. It's not. It's not. But you should, if you like VPN, NordVPN. I use Google One, but that's a different story. That was funny. But yeah, like I love this ending of the season. Had the right amount of action, the right amount of heart, the right amount of happiness, but also the right amount of darkness for the type of show that it is. It had the right amount of darkness and tone to finish the season. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But because it didn't end on a downer, right? But you did get that sense of darkness and gloom because Denji has that dream again. Which I don't think he has that dream. He's had that dream since episode 1, right? We see a little bit of it in episode 1 the first time, and then we don't see it again till the end of this episode, right?
Yeah.
Arcwinder says on the chat, stopping the memes for a minute, it is a nice sight after a season of bad shit. The characters earn their brief bit of joy and peace. Amen.
Exactly.
Amen. And the best thing about it is that for those that have read the manga, season 1 ends on a glorious cliffhanger about the tale, with a lady asking a question, Denji, do you want to be a country mouse or a city mouse? And those that love the Chainsaw manga book know the next arc that's coming. And I am very excited because that is actually, I would say, it's one of the better arcs of this first part. And
that I can agree with.
And I wonder... Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Arcwinder, we're trying to keep this nice for anime onlys. But yes. I mean, Isaac, it's either that or she's blowing up in their faces. Wow. Arcwinder, I think you broke Isaac. I think you broke Isaac. Isaac is officially broken.
I mean, the wording, Denji being a horn dog and how horny this show is.
Okay, you need to stop. You need to... Arcwinder says, understand how we get... Don't go, Arcwinder. Hi, Josh. But yeah, I'm telling you guys, read between the lines. Next season is going to be the bomb. So I can't wait I'm pretty confident that we should be getting an announcement of season 2. I would say in the next 2 months, right? There's no way that we don't get. I'm pretty confident we'll probably get Chainsaw Man sometime summer of 2024.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Depending on
Yeah,
how
because
much.
I don't think we get season 2 this year. I think we probably get season 2 of Chainsaw Man in summer or fall 2024. And I personally am 100% okay with that because think about this, guys. Season 1 of Jujutsu Kaisen. Listen to
I'm
this.
talking July, and they have
Oh,
Attack on Titan is supposed to come out this year too.
yeah. Arc Winder says on the chat, or be like Jujutsu Kaisen season 2 and take 3 years. Well, oh boy. Well, the thing is this also. Jujutsu Kaisen did have a movie in between, and the movie did pretty well. So you can't really blame them for taking that long. But think about this though. Season 1 of Jujutsu Kaisen, right? Covers the first 63 chapters of the book, but is divided in a span of 24 episodes. Chainsaw Man, however, covered the first. I think I have the count here. I have the count here somewhere, I promise. Chainsaw Man covered. I have it here. Let me look it
You
up.
know what? I'm even more certain now that at earliest that we are getting it in summer next year, because you know what happens in 7th of April this year, which is
What happens?
it's the 10-year anniversary of the Attack on Titan anime, and I wouldn't be shocked if the last part is having its premiere on the 10-year anniversary.
It's very possible. It's 100% possible.
And
For
Attack on Titan in April. Then going through, depending on how many episodes, it's going to be then in through May and maybe June, and then you have the Jujutsu Kaisen in July. So
Well,
yeah, and
yeah, 2024 is the best thing. But what I was going to say is the thing with what I wanted to mention, my point, and I'm sorry I didn't do the research beforehand, but
it's okay.
the first 12 episodes of Chainsaw Man covered 38 chapters. It's a lot, but it isn't a lot, but it is a lot, right? So if they keep around the same length of episodes and we get another 12 episode season, I am perfectly okay with that. And I kind of see it possible it coming out 2024 towards the beginning or middle of the year. Now, think about this also. You were just talking about Attack on Titan Season 3, Jujutsu Kaisen. The fact that they feel confident with announcing those release dates is because those shows are probably 60 to 70% done. You see what I'm saying? So by the time we get those shows, those episodes starting to come out, they're going to have the time to start working on other things. Now, the only thing that makes me think late 2024 is because I'm pretty confident that One Punch Man Season 3 comes out before Chainsaw Man Season 2.
Could be.
So that's kind of why I feel that it's going to take towards the end. But then again, if we're going to get the same amount of quality and detail and care that we got in Season 1 of Chainsaw Man, I am 100% okay with waiting. Especially with the amount of coverage that they did. Because also, I don't know you, but for me, almost 40 episodes. Arc Winder says in the chat, Attack on Titan, 10 years of shocking and scaring people. And wowing people. And amazing people. In my book, at least. But yes, true. Think about this. If they do 38 to 40 chapters per season of Chainsaw Man, by the time you get to Season 3, you've 100% done part 1 of Chainsaw Man, which is the first 96 chapters.
Yeah.
Which again, that's a lot of content and only 3 seasons and only 36 episodes. Apart from the fact that it sounds like crazy that it's even possible, the quality is going to be through the roof. I mean, every single ending of Chainsaw Man was different and it was great. I'd rather get more of the quality and care that I got here than to have a season rushed into production. So, I'm okay waiting.
Agreed. I'm same.
Yeah.
I mean,
So-
also with Studio Pierrot, they basically only have Boruto and Bleach as their big IPs right now, so it makes sense why they have been in pre-production for so many years. So
Yeah.
in comparison to them, that Core 2 is happening in July. It's because they don't have as many high-profile IPs right now as MAPPA has.
Well, but you also got to think about this. They announced the Thousand Year Blood War a year and a half before it came out.
Yeah.
So that means that they were working on it a long time before. So I'm not surprised if they're already doing pre-production on part 3. Because the fact that they're releasing the second part only 6 months, is that 6 or 7 months in between? That means that
believe so.
I think they want to wrap this up by the end of 2024. I think that kind of looks like that's what their goal is going to be, because we're getting four cores, right? So by the end of 2020,
at latest beginning of 2025.
right, similar to this one that ended
Yeah.
towards the beginning of 2025.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I love Chainsaw Man. Isaac, I know you loved it too. Before we wrap up our thoughts on Chainsaw Man real quick, did you have a favorite episode?
I don't know. I honestly don't know.
I'm going to go. Part of me wants to cop out and say that I like the whole thing. Part of me. But I'm going to go with episode 1. I think episode 1 is one of the best pilot episodes of an anime I've ever seen. It is phenomenal. That's my take. And you know that not every great anime has a great first episode. You know what I mean? There's certain great anime that are like a slow burn. Like I think Chainsaw Man's first episode is phenomenal. So
Yeah.
that's my take. You have anything else you want to talk about Chainsaw Man before we close this episode?
Not what I can think of.
Awesome. So, guys, there it is. Our final thoughts on Chainsaw Man Season 1, episodes 10, 11, and 12. Let us know. Did you love Chainsaw Man as much as we did? Were you satisfied? Were you dissatisfied? Were you disappointed? Do you want to fire Mappa and get someone else? Or like everybody wants to fire James Gunn for some reason? Well, here's the thing. We thought it was great. Hopefully you thought too. If you didn't like it, let us know why. Join the conversation. Let us know. Arcwinder in the chat says, Chainsaw Man in a nutshell. That's why he's the GOAT. The GOAT. I actually call him the Nutcracker. But, Chainsaw Man in the Nutcracker. I don't know why, but I kind of want to see him kick Katana Man in the balls and just find it hilarious. See, Arcwinder, anime onlys. But yes, probably. I can't read what he wrote. I can't. Anime onlys. Now, If you guys didn't, whatever you loved, what was your best favorite moment for Chainsaw Man? Let us know in the comments below. What was your least favorite moment of Chainsaw Man? Let us know in the comments below. We want to know what you think about our coverage. If you want to go back, if you missed our other coverages of Chainsaw Man, we have a playlist where we have every single review that we've done on Chainsaw Man, every single review on Bleach 1,000 Year Blood War, same thing for My Hero Academia, The World Ends With You. We have a bunch of lists and playlists where you can listen to our entire coverage of a series, and on some shows, we did a season review. So go back to our archive and check out the different season reviews and movie reviews that we have. As you guys know, we mentioned earlier on the show that this is going to be our last Sunday stream, but don't worry, this live stream is not going away. We're just moving it to Thursdays. So the next live stream is going to be Thursday between 7 and 7:30, and then every Thursday after that, we are going to be doing our live streams. Now, we're getting caught up with all the other shows after the holiday break. This Thursday, we are talking the last 3 to 4 chapters of Core 1 of Bleach, the 1,000-Year Blood War. We are covering those episodes this Thursday live here on the channel. And our good friend Mike is working on a Season 6 Core 1 MHA and also a Season 1 Core 2 Spy Family finale review. So don't worry, those will come to you very soon in the coming weeks. Now, a little bit of a sneak peek of what's going to be happening in this winter season. That's what they're calling it now, right, Isaac? Winter season?
Yeah.
We're going to have that Rooster Fighter manga review. Yes, I haven't forgotten. It's going to happen, and it's going to be awesome. Thank you, Arkwinder. Arkwinder says in the chat, our wonderful coverage of Chainsaw Man. Thank you guys for this nice show. Thank you for joining us, Arkwinder. Hopefully we'll have you with us again talking more anime. Always love having you on the chat.
He wants to be on this season review of My Hero Academia Season 6, so...
We could probably make that happen. Let's see what happens. So a little sneak peek of the things that are going to happen. In January 7th, which is a Saturday, we get the 2 big releases of the month, which is going to be the anime based on the acclaimed Square Enix platinum game release, Nier Automata. It's going to have an anime adaptation, and we're going to be covering it every single week. And also, we're going to be covering the remake, Trigun Stampede. Me and Isaac are huge fans of the original Trigun, which we covered on the channel. So we'll definitely put the link in the description below when we start covering Stampede. I think the one thing we haven't covered yet is Badlands Rumble, right? That's the one thing we haven't done. We only did the series, right?
I do believe so, yeah.
Yes, we still have to do the Trigun movie. But we're going to start covering Trigun Stampede weekly, and we're going to do Nier Automata, the animation, on the channel. We're going to do it every Thursday night, starting on, I think it's the 14th or the 15th, which is the second Thursday of this month. And we're going to do 1 episode a week of each show, and we'll cover it every night and do the live stream just the way you love it.
We're going to start on the Thursdays. It's going to be the 12th. 14th is a Saturday.
Thank you. I don't know my calendar. So Thursday, January 12th, we'll start our coverage of Nier Automata and Trigun Stampede. We're always going to have a topic for you guys, so if you have a topic you want us to cover, let us know in the comments below. Find us or let us know if there's a topic that you guys want us to cover, a piece of news or a question you want to ask us. Let us know on Twitter at the Amateur Otaku Pod. If we see your question on Twitter, we will definitely cover it on the show. You can also write to us an email, amateurotakurtf@gmail.com, and we will answer back to you if you write to us there. We'll answer your question live. Now, I've been watching a bunch of stuff on my end, so who knows? Maybe you see little shorts and real mini season reviews, because I've been watching some stuff. I know Isaac's been watching some stuff. I've been reading some stuff. If there's anything else that you guys want us to cover on the channel, if you have recommendations for us, let us know, and we'll cover, and we'll try and put it on the list. And who knows, maybe the next anime that we cover on the show is the one that you want us to talk about. Guys, you guys are awesome. You guys are amazing. We are very excited, the Amateur Otaku, to keep growing the community. We have grown to 137 subscribers on YouTube, which it's been a crazy and amazing ride. So thank you for being amazing, and hopefully we get to 500 and beyond on this 2023 and keep growing this anime community. So very excited. Isaac, if people wanted to find you, talk anime with you, ask you questions, and drive you crazy, where can they find you?
Well, you can find me over at Emblemania. Emblemaniac on Twitter, and written work at Woman Entertainment. And god damn it, Arcwinder, good thing I didn't drink my tea there.
Oh boy, Argwinder says in the chat, Nier fans, 2B booty better be perfect or else. And Square Enix did it right the first time, so I think they'll do it right again. So, Isaac, where can people find you?
Well, as I said, Emblemaniac on Twitter.
You can find me at the Scarlet Fan 52 on Twitter. You can also find me and our good friend Mike at the Shatter After. It finally has its own YouTube channel where we cover movies, games, books. We have a bunch of other episodes coming out later. We're an episode on the Shawshank Redemption. We have an episode on God of War Ragnarok, the video game. And we have a bunch of other stuff that's coming up, but that show is growing. So and we're also doing a news show every week that Mike is hosting. If you love movies, games, and comic books, check out the Shatter After. It's growing. It's awesome. You might enjoy us too. And if you're not tired of our voices, you'll find them there too, talking about different stuff. And you can find the pod at The Amateur Otaku. Have it awesome, guys. Keep watching anime. Keep being awesome. We'll see you soon, guys. Peace.
Eat.